NFL Week 5 winners and losers. Andrew, give me your winners.
My winners are the Broncos and Texans this weekend. First of all, the Broncos go on the road to Philadelphia and get a huge win for their program. Just in general, they come off of a game against the Bengals where they're just kind of beating a team when they're down, but the Eagles are the true test of the NFL at this point, because they came into the day as one of the only undefeated teams left, a day that ended with no undefeated teams. But yeah, the Eagles were one of the best teams, or are one of the best teams in the NFL, defending Super Bowl champions. So the Broncos came in with some offensive struggles just during the course of this year. Patrick Surtain hadn't played to the level in which you'd expect him to play at coming off a Defensive Player of the Year performance, and they came out slow, but they were able to come back in the second half and fully take over that game and eventually win it. So Broncos are definitely one of my winners, and then the Texans. They just beat up on a Ravens team that is reeling at this point, but this is the best their offense has looked all season long, which is really good for a Texans fan. It looks like they have a chance at the AFC South again, which is like probably their only, maybe not their only way to get into the playoffs. The AFC looks really weak this year, but just in general, you've seen a lot from the Texans defense this year. I think they came into that game and they probably left that game as the number one scoring defense in the NFL, and you just weren't seeing enough from their offense. Their offense was really clicking on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are having trouble right now putting together a full game of football. Like they've gotten a lot of teams' best shots, though. You know, they played the Cowboys, Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Broncos. I think that's 5. That could be 5 playoff teams. I mean, in the Cowboys fringe, I'll give you that. But the other 4, definitely. And you've got a couple division winners probably in that group as well, you know, depending on who wins. Broncos, Chiefs, maybe it's the Chargers in that division, but you definitely got a few. So I let the Eagles off the hook a little bit. I like you mentioned in the Broncos, they've lost their 2 games by a total of 4 points. They pretty much, you can argue it. Maybe they have that Colts game too. Maybe they should have had it. So I've been really impressed with the Broncos, and then just being able to come back. That's great for them. Bo Nix looking good too. The Texans, the offense is looking good. I need to see it a little bit more consistently. I think the Ravens are just in a really, really bad spot. I mean, shoot, you talk about I'm going to talk about the Bengals later in this segment, but like if you talk about a team that needs their starting quarterback to come back, I think it's definitely the Ravens. Harbaugh, man, it's looking pretty bad as far as like, I think some of the fans are turning on him. Sometimes you need a new voice in the building. I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I've seen that. Wow. A lot of people were bringing up like the time between like, you know, the end of Joe Flacco and Lamar. And there were some kind of rough years there for the Ravens. So just keeping an eye on that. But it's a good win for the Texans and definitely a good win for the Broncos. I'll go into my winners. The Patriots. Everybody, Drake May, we're forgetting, had some Patrick Mahomes-esque kind of comparisons coming out of college. Like he can make some throws that you would be surprised at. And he can throw.
He also had some Mitchell Trubisky allegations too.
He can, huh? Oh, yeah, he did have those. I think white guy North Carolina vibes were tough for him to get away from, to distance himself from. But I think he's doing it. I really thought it was a good win. It's a divisional game, and the Bills play, they let the Saints hang around. And the Saints actually were up, I think, in the second half at some point during that game last week. So they were looked like they were maybe due for a loss. And it's a divisional game. So I'll give you that. But good win for the Patriots. And then the Bucks, man. A win is a win is a win. I don't care how it happens. If you win these games in the NFL, there's something to be said about that. I think that their late game ability could potentially position themselves to not be the worst division winner in the NFC. And that, in my opinion, really helps them in the playoffs. Obviously, you already have that home field advantage when you are a division winner, but looking further ahead, if they can avoid one of the better non-division winners in that opening round, I think that gives them a good shot at making the divisional. And at that point, I think they match up pretty well against a lot of the teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. The Bucks are definitely one of those teams that have the ability to come back late in a game and make it a game, if not win the game. And the Bucks, just every single win this year for them has just been intense and come down to the last minute. But the Seahawks looked a lot better than they probably should have coming into the season. At least a lot of people were projecting them to be a little bit worse than they are right now. Sam Darnold has looked really good. JSN has just been an absolute star this year. So being able to hold off that attack, obviously their defense didn't look that good. Neither defense did. But just to be able to go back and forth with a team that was clicking on offense on all cylinders on the other side of the field, and at some point just have their stars like shine as well. Mekhi Buka looks really good this year, and just in general that offense, even without Mike Evans and for the first part of the season, Chris Godwin has been clicking all season long. So I am definitely interested to see what the Bucks are going to be doing come postseason. I think I'm a lot higher on them at this point than I was going into the season.
All right, I'll move into my losers first. The Chargers now dropping 2 games in a row. Just a good start to this season. Good win over the Broncos. Good opening week win against the Chiefs. But now dropping 2 games. They look like they had some coaching issues and stuff like that this game. Washington, in my opinion, isn't as good as they were last year. And I was really thinking that the Chargers were turning a corner. Now they're 3-2. That's tough. That's not a. It's a fine loss. I still think the Commanders can definitely are probably going to make the playoffs, and they're a good team, but would have liked to see the Chargers pull this one out, and then they lost by 17 points. So that was rough. And then I see that you don't have the Bengals on here as a loser, just looking a little bit ahead. I'm going to package the Bengals and the Ravens, the 2 teams at the bottom of the AFC North that are in desperate need of their starting quarterback to come back. Both of these teams over the next couple of weeks, if they cannot get wins, or if, I don't know Lamar's timeline off the top of my head. If they both lose their next 2 games, I think that they're probably eliminated from the playoffs. Like, I just don't see a realistic opportunity for them to stack wins and make it to the postseason, even if they get their guys back, because I just am not anticipating them to then run the table. So
yeah,
that was rough. It just, the way that it looked for both of them this past week was really bad.
Yeah, coming from a 1-4 start is always going to be tough to make the playoffs, which is the Ravens' aspirations at the very least at the start of every single season. And the Bengals, I don't think there's a realistic way to make the playoffs at this point. Joe Burrow is going to be out for multiple months, and unless they trade for somebody, there's just no possible way that they're getting into the playoffs with Jake Browning. The Ravens definitely have a shot with Lamar coming back, but yeah, they can't really afford to drop any more games. Their schedule ahead still isn't the easiest one in the world, but I mean. As for the Chargers, they play the Dolphins this week, so chalk that up to be another loss for them. So they're going to be reeling after these next couple weeks, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see how the Chargers do going forward. And then for my personal losers or winners,
losers, we flipped it.
Yeah. The Cardinals and Giants. The Cardinals genuinely had one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life. Starting off with the Kyler Murray fumble in the red zone, not Kyler Murray fumble, the missed snap, essentially the center snapping into him when he wasn't ready, and then the Titans falling on it, and then Amari DiMercato, which how is this even still happening in the NFL? Everyone says it, but it's like has to be reiterated as many times as it needs to be because it still happens. Somehow he fumbles at the half-inch line. If not, he probably scored, but I don't really care if he scored or not. That's got to be a lesson that has got to be taught. You just never give up the ball before you score, especially in a game that you're just trying to seal away. You get the run that you needed. They were just trying to chew clock in the fourth quarter. You get the run you needed. You bust one open, and he fumbles at the half. Yeah, he fumbles at the half-inch line, which is super unfortunate. The Titans end up coming all the way back from 21-6 and winning that football game. They missed the extra point to make it a 1-score game and somehow still scored twice more. Calvin Ridley had 130 yards in this game, which was absolutely insane. A 50-yard catch to put them in field goal range, and then there was a couple runs to seal that game. In general, I just don't know what happened in that game. It actually is mind-boggling to me because they weren't throwing the ball in the second half, and I understand wanting to run the clock off the time off the clock, but this is a situation where Kyler Murray is still a young-ish quarterback. You want to put him in a situation where you have to go out and just seal a game, and they didn't put it in his hands at all. And it's the Titans, so it's a very low risk, high reward situation. You get him those valuable reps, and you just assume the Titans won't come back on you. But they literally just handed them the ball. They ran the ball 3 straight drives, gave it back to them. Super terrible to watch. Sorry, I went on a Cardinals rant. And then the Giants, I have zero belief in Jackson Dart, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. I just don't see it. And he could be so good. And I will completely take this back, but I don't think he's going to be the guy to save Brian Dable's job. And they have a hard schedule moving forward. And this was supposed to be their easy win, and they couldn't do it this weekend. And it's not that they couldn't do it. They made a Saints team that was getting blown out the week before look halfway decent. And then it just did not look good for the Giants at all on either side of the ball, really. Like, this defense has been good this season. It should have shut the Saints offense down. And then coming up, they have the Eagles, the Broncos, the Eagles again, the 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, and then they play the Patriots, who are probably a playoff team at this point, the Commanders. They just the whole rest of their schedule, like, it's going to be hard to chalk up any sort of wins. So the fact that they couldn't get it done against the Saints is really, really foreboding for them.
So I have a different perspective, I think, on the Giants, just because I floated this out there when they announced that Jackson Dart was going to be the starter. And I said, just like thinking, just when we were just speaking, throwing stuff at the wall, talking out loud and everything like that, or thinking out loud, I should say, rather, I was like, you know what? They might just win the game against the Chargers and lose the game against the Saints. Like, and that's why my argument was like, just throw them out there and see what happens. So I'm a little bit like cautious whenever it comes to making a conclusion like that. Brian Daboll definitely could get fired, though. And then the Scatterboo fumble was really, really bad. The fumble 6 for them just changed that game completely. So I don't think it's all on Jackson Dart, but I see where you're coming from with that. Not too much pushback, but just a little bit. And then I think you said everything for the Cardinals. I just wanted to add that this is a loss that derails a season. They have coming up in this order: Colts, Packers, Cowboys, Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, Bucks, Rams, Texans. Good luck.